Thanks for tuning in to the Realtor Moms podcast. We are Tasha and Jamie, full-time realtors and admittedly average moms. This is how we sell houses and try to keep our kids alive.
On today's Realtor Moms podcast, we're talking about what comes first, chicken or the egg, or in real estate terms, who do you call first, the realtor or the mortgage lender? So, Jamie, what is the advice you generally give people when they ask that question to you?
Well, it is really a chicken and egg thing. You can go either way, but I think, Tasha, we share the same idea that if you come to your realtor first, we can help you out in kind of navigating the next steps of the process. We like to sit people down and have a one-on-one meeting about what your goals are for looking for a house, what you hope to find in that house, and we can really walk you through some questions and some good information that you should be seeking from a mortgage lender so you know what to expect before you go into that appointment.
One thing I really take the time to do with my clients is really walk them through what the process looks like as well. What does that buying process look like? What does the purchase agreement look like? If you're signing this very long contract, what are some of the terms and items we're going to talk about time and time again in terms of what is earnest money? That's an important question.
And when do you need the earnest money?
Exactly. Also, one thing that is important is taxes and specials. So we go into quite a bit of information, and this is information we will talk about time and time again. And so it's just kind of almost like a first-time home buyer class, but it's personalized one-on-one to fit the needs of each particular client.
And we just do a lot of Q&A. I think both of us answer a lot of questions. Come with your questions so that you can really get the answers that you need in order to start your home buying process, or maybe it's selling and then buying in the right way and equipped with the right information up front.
One thing, too, is I like to get an idea of maybe how much someone is looking to spend on a home, but also then what their monthly payments look like.
Totally.
That is very important, because maybe what you're comfortable paying monthly is not what, the breakdown of those numbers aren't going to look the same in terms of purchase price.
Right. And speaking of that, sometimes you'll go to your mortgage lender and you'll happily be pre-approved for this big, huge number. And, maybe that's not a payment amount that you're really comfortable with. Even though it might be something you're capable of doing, maybe you have your thoughts set on a different number that you want to spend per month on your mortgage. So we can help maybe you want us to help you with a list of questions that you can run past your potential mortgage lender. Stuff like, explain to me the difference between cash to close and closing costs, and who pays closing costs, and down payment money. When do we need down payment money? Or like Tasha was talking about, earnest money. When does that earnest money come into play? So it's kind of a collaboration really between your mortgage lender and your realtor. Chicken and egg. You can go to either one first, but we really work well when we're both in play right in the beginning together.
One thing I like to do too is maybe get an idea of where you're wanting to be in terms of purchase price or monthly payment, and then come up with a list of homes that appeal to you just by looking online. And from there, you can take that information to your mortgage lender, and they can run real life scenarios on what those numbers are going to what those numbers are going to look like in terms of monthly payment and what you'll have to bring for closing costs. Yeah. So that can be helpful. And I know that the lenders I've worked with have really appreciated that. Right. And then they're basing their numbers are much more accurate than what ours will be. Right. So they're going to be much more
on the fly, but not like a
mortgage lender.
Even if those aren't the houses you decide to purchase, you can get a real life scenario of, okay, if I bought a house like this is pretty close to what I'd be paying. Or maybe I want to spend $30 more to spend $30,000 more on that mortgage payment. You can get a real life example of how much more per month gets you how much more in purchase price.
Exactly. So we really work with our clients in that regard. And that's why I think those first time sit downs with our clients are so very important.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's armed and ready.
Exactly.
So Tasha, what would happen potentially if someone called you up, said, oh my gosh, I got to see these 3 houses, we're ready to buy, and you say, great, who's your lender, or do you need a recommendation for a lender? And they say, no, we'll worry about that later.
Generally speaking, I would try and at least sit down for an appointment, even if we take 20, 30 minutes to sit down before we look at homes.
Right.
I do think that's very important. It's not to say I have shown homes that way. Of
course, yeah.
I have. We all have.
Sometimes timing gets the best of us and we just have to.
And we have to, and we want to get them in. But I do try to set up a time either before or after those appointments to see those homes so we can really sit down and get into this information so that way you are starting off on the right foot. Because if we don't, what is needed and why it's so very important to have that appointment with the mortgage lender is we need a pre-approval letter from a mortgage lender to be able to buy or, put together a purchase agreement to make an offer on a home. If we don't have that pre-approval, those sellers are going to look at you as a potential buyer and wonder if you are even financially capable of purchasing that property. So the pre-approval letter or pre-qualification letter puts you a step ahead of other people that are looking in that way.
Right. If you see a perfect property and you're so excited to go and take a look at it, but you haven't been pre-approved yet, what if you get into that house and you absolutely love it and you find out that somebody else is about to make an offer or is thinking about making an offer? Pre-approvals don't take that much time, but really it can make or break the difference between you getting the house if you're prepared to write an offer when you see and fall in love with that house, or if you have to take a step back, maybe wait a day, maybe it's 6:00 in the evening and you just don't have that paperwork together yet. We really kind of have to wait until you get that pre-approval letter in order to submit our best possible offer for you. If we don't have it, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, here's an offer from John and Jane Doe, and don't worry about it. They'll have the money. It gives you credibility as a buyer when you come in prepared.
And you have to think about it from the seller's side too. Would you if you're looking at different offers, and here's one person who has been pre-approved and a bank or mortgage lender that are saying that yes, we will approve them purchasing this home. They have met the financial responsibilities and guidelines that we follow to purchase a home. If you look at that versus someone who hasn't gone through that process, it really puts you in a bad position, and you're going to want to go with the one that's more of the sure bet.
Right.
So I look at that.
Look at the buyer, or you want to you get a lot heavier weight to the buyer who has been vetted.
Yes.
And another thing is, it's tough. Selling your house is tough. You got to get everybody in the car and clean the house on your way out and arrange for the dogs. And you have all this work to do. If you were to come back home only to find out that, oh yeah, these buyers that just looked at your house, they actually weren't pre-approved. Your heart sinks a little bit. You're bummed out. Like, buyers need to be prepared for the sellers in the same way that the sellers are preparing their homes in order for the buyers.
Correct.
So it's a courtesy. So
it definitely is a courtesy.
I have to tell you about this one experience, Tasha, that I had, and it's a little different than probably anybody else's experience, but I had this gal. She was recently widowed, and she was moving to Fargo to be closer to her family, and she had 3 kids going to college. She was coming out of a very nice home, pretty far away, moving into the neighborhood or the South Fargo area, and she had a pretty healthy budget, a pretty big budget. She had a great job and could afford a large home, or so she thought. I made the mistake of going out and showing her houses on 2 separate occasions, kind of in a price range that she thought that she would be comfortable in. And what ended up happening is she found a house that she really loved. She went to her mortgage lender. She started the pre-approval process only to find out that some lending rules had changed. And because she was a co-signer on all 3 of her currently college-aged children's student loans, her budget ended up being about half of what she originally set out to look for, which it was so crushing. It was crushing for her.
Oh, I bet.
My heart broke for her. She had found the house that she loved, and we had to start all over again. And let me tell you, after you've seen houses in one price range, then cutting that budget way back and going out to try to find something you like even close to that much in a totally different price range, it was really hard.
It can be heartbreaking. That is a sad story, Jamie.
It's so
and
sad.
I can tell you that it has happened to me as well with clients of mine. So I certainly understand the frustration because even when your clients are going through that, it's heartbreaking for us as well, because we want to make sure we we're the matchmakers and we're matching the perfect home for our client.
And it really doesn't even take that long.
That is true. We just worked on a deal just recently, and what was really great is these particular clients, they were able to be pre-approved within one afternoon.
Yeah,
so they
same
had
day.
all the information they needed. They got to their lender, and we had a pre-approval letter, and everything worked out perfectly.
Tasha was able to tell them how to get prepared for that appointment. So when they went in, they had all their documents ready. They brought them in, and that mortgage professional was able to approve them on the very same day and get them a letter. They walked out with their letter, made an offer that afternoon.
Well, and what was great, they didn't even sit down with their lender. They did everything.
Oh, really?
They did everything.
There's so many things you can do online anymore.
Online. They filled out their information, got the lender the information they needed, and we had the pre-approval letter. And it was during one of the snowstorms that Fargo had.
That's right.
During the snowstorm. So see, this just goes to show it doesn't take long, and if you are prepared, you can move forward very quickly. But sometimes when you're in that position, when you're dealing with offers that are coming in, even a few hours can really give you the edge that you wouldn't have had otherwise.
Get that pre-approval letter. Chicken or egg. We'd love it if you'd come to us first. We can kind of help you get organized for that mortgage appointment so you're ready to rock and roll. But really, both of those things are super important. Thank you for listening. Replay or hear more episodes at RealtorMomsPodcast.com and follow us on Instagram with #RealtorMomsPodcast.
This podcast is produced by Jamie R. Swenson and Tasha Barrett of Park Company Realtors, 28 North 10th Street, Fargo, North Dakota, 58102.